Jake Paul is a fighter. And I said, what? What? But I understand that he is now, but he created a whole different element. He is not a real fighter. I have respect for what he did, but he's not. Look, he picked his opponents. He created his career. But people think this is real ball. He's not. And I mean, I know he's successful. I know he did something, but I mean, this is not what it is. But now we live in this world that we call virtual reality. It's not a reality, but MMA, it's a reality.
Well, Vitor, you're the second Hall of Famer I interviewed today after Mark Kerr. And I was telling Mark, I remember years ago, if I wanted to watch you fight, I'd have to go rent a VHS tape, go to the store, and, saying you were an MMA fan was not something you told a lot of people. So I guess, I know this has been asked you a million times, but like from that point of fighting in the dark ages of the UFC to now, this UFC X, just what do you think of the growth of this sport all around?
So you use the word dark age. Everything grows in the dark. Everything you see grows in the dark. Even technology that grows in the dark inside a computer. It's a code that being created somewhere and then goes to life. So being a dark, it's a very important place to become, and then eventually you go shine in the bright light, whatever was done in the dark. And I think people don't have an idea. They're here, and even people they're fighters. They don't have an idea. They don't have. So why they don't have an idea? Because first of all, they are living their dream, and now they are in the top of the chain. But they gotta look to the foundation. Anything, and the problem with the elders, I go back to the church. Why a lot of churches today they don't have elders? Because you have a bunch of young punks running a church. That's the problem of America. So you need the elders. You need hair. You need white hair. You need people with that kind of wisdom to be able to not just show you the way, but to lead you in the way. Because the problem is a lot of influencers now. A lot of people, they pretend to be something. They don't have an idea. Majority of coaches in MMA, they never fought. They never got in the MMA fight. They had some boxing, they had some kickboxing, but they never had an MMA career. So we know what it is. The Hall of Famers, they know what it was, and especially those on the early age and the dark ages. So I have so much respect for these men. Each one brought a little brick and create these pillars that we here have today. So it's amazing.
And at the red carpet yesterday, there was a journalist. He was 20 years old, and he had never seen you fight before. And he goes, "Who's that?" And a Brazilian reporter got mad. He goes, "That's Vitor Belfort. He's probably the greatest Brazilian fighter that has ever lived." So do you feel the respect still to this day, or are you still trying to educate people with all these young kids?
It's just thinking about we have UFC athletes competing with getting a sponsorship with influencers. So when you go to Nike, when you go to Under Armour, and then you offer a fighter, and they said how many likes he has, it is disgusting. How many followers he has, how many likes. I don't care how many likes he has. I think you can never sign a sponsor or deal because of likes. The problem with the world, we live in a generation now, it's about content. But I say, what type of content? Tell me, you're a content creator. I want to say what? Oh, I make people laugh. So the problem is understanding the values of the things you do. Success is not how much money you have in the bank. Success is what you do and how you do. So it is very sad today that a lot of athletes today are losing their market for people. They just go naked or butt naked or do funny stuff. And now this brand looking to, instead of putting your money in the athlete, they put it on the influencer who has more followers and do some silly stuff. Look at Jake Paul as an example. Jake Paul is a fighter. And I say, what? What? But I understand that he is now, but he he created a whole different element. He's not a real fighter. I have respect for what he did, but he's not. Look, he picked his opponents. He created his career, but people think this is real box. He's not. And I mean, I know he's successful. I know he did something, but I mean, this is not what it is. But now we live in this world that we call virtual reality. It's not a reality, but MMA, it's a reality. If you sign with UFC, you're not gonna be a champion because you have followers. You're gonna have to fight. And look at now, Connor, six last losses, 6 defeats. He's great. He draw the crowd, yeah, but he cannot win for 6 fights. So Shoei that doesn't care. If you cannot, you can have all the likes you want, but you're not gonna win if you don't put the work in.
What's it been like going on that? Because your son is obviously with the NIL stuff in college and everything. What's it been like dealing with that? Because I feel like colleges are doing the same thing where they're like, you might not be the best athlete, but you have the biggest following. Like, we'll give you more money.
That's the problem. So, example, my son couldn't make so much more money, going to other places. He chose to say, I want to go to a place. He met the head coach of UCF. He went to that place, said, he could make a lot more money going to other places. And he said, no, I want to be in this place. It's not about the money. It's about, that's my kids, I am their father, but they are their mentors. So I said, listen, honey, son, my girl say, go to the dark. Go to the dark. So I teach them, it's, don't think you make it. You're nobody. And even when you make it, you don't own it. It's rent based. It's not own. You don't own anything. It's all rent based. So when you stop paying rent, you don't have it anymore. So that's what it is. So we are living on this moment right now that where people don't understand that. But I'm very proud of my son and my daughters to understand dark places. Everything grows in the dark.
And just last one for you, because I know you got to do a bunch more. We spoke to Chuck Liddell a couple months ago, and he said there's not a lot of real fighters left in MMA. They're playing it safe. They're fighting to win. They're not going in there to have a fight. And he said guys like Poatan, Justin Gaethje, like those guys are real fighters. They just want to go in there and get in a fight. Who are some of those guys that you still like to watch that remind you of, like you said, those dark ages of MMA?
I kind of agree and disagree with Chuck a little because I think that we have a lot. Maybe they're not famous. The problem is this. You cannot fight for others. You cannot fight for fans. You cannot fight just to win. You got to fight to compete to win at any cost. So real fighters for me is those that are willing to take the chance to fight the best. It's not how you fight. It's like I cannot decide, like example, like George St. Pierre. He was not a knocker, but he fight to win. He did a great career. So it's not just going out bang. You gotta win. The job is to win. How you win, it's a different things. So it is.
All right.
I gotta be. I just don't like hugging people on the floor. I just don't like that style. But that's what I like. But what's the job of the fight is to win. How you win, I don't care. But I like guys that bang. I understand Chuck because he's a banger. I'm a banger. But I mean, the job is to fight to win. How you win? You're running the ball. You're throwing the ball. It's the matter is a score. Who is the champion? So I'm a competitor. Being a competitor is like fight to win. Don't fight just to entertain people. I'm a non-entertainer. Go WWE.
Go fight Jake Paul.
Yeah, go Jim. So that's what makes UFC so successful. We have different styles. People fight different. George St. Pierre is one of my favorite fighters. But he made interest. When he's there, he's there to win. So that's what makes UFC so successful is they have different styles. But I believe it's just how we reward now. We got to reward and not just likes, not just talking crap, Go there and fight to win.